Hi, this is Brett Lonsdale, and I'm here with Sandy Usia. How are you, Sandy?
Very good, Brett. Thanks. How are you?
Doing good. And so I think, did we do a show since you got back from the Everglades? No, we didn't. That was just last
No.
weekend. So you've been to
Yep.
the Everglades.
Yes, yes. Which I live very near to
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
We go there fairly often, but we decided to go and stay there for a weekend, which was very interesting. Very quiet and like old Florida, really. It's not like Naples, which is busy, busy and like
Hmm.
rich houses and things. This was like normal people and kind of the what passes for countryside in southern Florida, which is jungle basically.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of places in Florida like that, I think, which really great. It's like stepping
Mm.
back in time a bit.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, and we were staying in Everglades City, which is actually really like stepping back in time because it has been hit with so many hurricanes that most of it is missing at this point, I think. But still, it was very interesting. There's still
I, li-
stuff standing from the 20s, which was when it was built, was the early 20s. So yeah,
I
it's
was gonna
not very old to you.
just about to say it's great that you see things that were last century that are like historic.
Not even.
It's like it's still new.
Yeah. Yep.
Brilliant. Well, glad you had a great time and you
Yeah.
saw some gators and all
Yes.
the rest of it. So
Yeah.
fantastic. Good. So we are in November already,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
yeah, we've got a few releases stacked for the
Mm.
end of the year actually.
Hmm.
So we're going to have to squeeze three releases in the space of 2 months.
Mm.
But
With
we're going
holidays.
to with holidays as well. Yeah, again, just the American holiday really, but you know. But yeah, we've got Lightning Forms queued up first, and
Hmm.
I guess the Lightning Forms suite
Sweet.
really,
Right. Right.
because that does really sort of make up three products, and there's feature updates for all three products
Hmm.
that form that suite. So
Hmm.
I guess what would be useful for anybody listening to this for the first time about Lightning Forms is just really talk about what Lightning Forms is, also the document generator and Lightning list actions as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, should we start off with Lightning Forms?
Sure.
I know you're going to be doing quite a bit of talking in a moment, so I'm happy to introduce Lightning Forms and what it
Okay.
does.
Okay.
So yeah, Lightning Forms is actually something that is available for SharePoint Online in a modern layout. So I guess if you're using SharePoint modern lists, then you can use Lightning Forms, and you can also use it in Classic as well. So if you are using
A separate
um,
product.
yeah, maybe an older version of SharePoint on premises, such as SharePoint 2016 or in 2019 with Classic, then you could also use the Classic version of Lightning Forms. So there's a Classic version and also the modern version. The modern version is built under the SharePoint framework, as is most of our products. And what it does is it allows you to, within the context of SharePoint, so no separate application, within the context of a SharePoint list form, you can actually go in and design that list form. So you can expand the size of your side panel to a size that fits maybe multiple columns if you've implemented multiple columns and tabs and so on. So you can get the layout that you want on a business form, and you can also add all of your business logic easily without having to be a developer as such. So you're not writing code, although you can write code if you want to. Yeah, you can also add styling as well. So if you wanted conditional formatting and so on, or CSS changes made to the look and feel of your form, you can also implement those with Lightning Forms. It's really super intuitive. We get a lot of people looking at Lightning Forms that have maybe tried other third-party products or even Power Apps in some
Mm-hmm.
cases, and they're just not really able to fully get that form that they want to design using those products. So Lightning Forms is powerful, but it's really intuitive, and it's something that you can do if you are a site owner and you want to build some forms for your department, or even if you want to do something on a higher level than that's critical business forms. This is
Hmm.
something that you can also do with the Lightning Forms toolset. So that's Lightning Forms. one of the things you can also do in Lightning Forms is build actions, and that's where the document generator comes in. So the actions are a series of instructions, if you like, similar to what you would do in Power Automate. You can add conditions and you can add loops and so on, but we're really sort of triggering these not on a schedule, but on an action that's either a form load action or it's a click of a button, like a command bar button at the top of the form. So building a sort of approval workflow or something like that makes sense using the form actions in Lightning Forms, because it's just so quick and rapid development. So you can go through and add things like the update fields, sending emails, that sort of thing that you would do behind an approval button or something along those lines. And of course, coupled with being able to hide and show fields based on some other status field being updated or not, that also adds to the flow as well. So of course, you don't want that approval button showing if maybe approval has already been triggered, or maybe there's different managers at different levels that need to do the approval, so we can keep track of that status and show the relevant controls or show the relevant actions or perform the actions based on those status updates. So one of the actions that you also have is a generate document, and this will generate a Microsoft Word document. So the challenge there that people face is usually around printing, but can also be used for sharing and so on as well. So if you imagine if we created a purchase order form and filled that out internally, I might need to send that externally via an email to a vendor of some sorts. So I'm not necessarily going to want to invite them into my SharePoint environment to see all the purchase orders or to see their purchase order. I could send them an attachment, which would be the actual purchase order document. I could share it with them as well. I don't have to email it as an attachment. I could put it in a document library and get a sharing link to them or something along those lines. But also, if you are printing, you can completely design the layout how you want it to look, and of course, print that as a Word document as opposed to doing a print screen with inside of the browser.
Yep. And that can include like line items for something. So in Lightning Forms, we call those sublists, where you can connect to another list and you can print all of that, include that in your document as well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the sublists, I know a lot of people refer to these as repeating panels because that's what they were in InfoPath, but yeah, you've got multiple items. So yeah, purchase order items inside a purchase order would make sense. And yeah, you can include that inside the Word document too. And I know a lot of people ask about PDFs and being able to generate the PDF. There are ways inside the document library where we can, not through Lightning Tools, but there's other third-party tools, and I think Microsoft Power Automate could also be used to actually convert the Word documents to PDFs if that's something that you also required. So those two products really complement each other. Obviously, the document generator is or can be part of Lightning Forms. That's a premium add-on, as we call them, or premium action. And then we also have Lightning List Actions, which is slightly different. So Lightning List Actions is taking that actions capability and adding it to the command bar inside a list view. So inside a standard SharePoint list, you can trigger a series of actions against a single item, against multiple selected items, or all of the items inside a list. So if you think sort of bulk approval, we know we've got a whole bunch of expenses coming back. I don't want to open up each individual form. I want to maybe select a whole bunch of them and then approve them. That's the type of thing that I can do with that. So yeah, you've got all the same actions that you would have inside of Lightning Forms, including the generate document as an add-on too, that you could use inside of list actions.
And I liked especially about list actions too, that you can conditionally appear in the command bar of the list, maybe depending on who you are, or maybe depending on some
group that you're in or something along those lines. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so again, you don't want to have that approval button show up if you're not an approver. So if you are inside an approvers group, then maybe it would show up at that point. So yeah.
Typical.
So that's really the three products that make up the Designer Suite. You could have a combination of Lightning Forms plus Document Generator, or List Actions plus Document Generator, or the entire suite. So that's
your best bargain.
Exactly. So Sandy, do you want to tell us some of the things that what new customers and existing customers can expect of Lightning Forms, Document Generator, and List Actions this month?
Yep, sure. So one new feature is a a modernized, I guess I would say, Camel query builder. So that's CAML, not the two hump kind.
We had this conversation yesterday.
We did.
Marketing, yeah,
Not you and I,
yeah.
but we know. But actually, I did not know what that stood for. Tell me again.
Oh no, I just made that up.
Oh,
No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. It's collaborative application markup language.
okay. Yes. So anyway, yeah, it's a way that you can, in this case, query SharePoint items, adding filters and so on. And so you have always been able to, in Lightning Forms, create those kind of queries as filters. So for example, if you have a lookup field and you want to base what shows up in the drop down based on filtering something, from some other field in the form, then you can click on the little filter icon in Lightning Forms and create a camel query filter. You still, in the past, you have not had to actually know camel to be able to do that. You had some drop downs to choose from. You could add conditions and expression and parts of the expression, but now that's been enhanced to more modern UI and easier, even more intuitive, I think, to build those filters without having to really. I mean, I don't want to say without having to understand what you're doing, but without having to know the syntax of all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, which and we mentioned a little bit earlier on about how a lot of Power Apps users are looking for something that's more intuitive, and that's a type of scenario. If they had to build the camel themselves,
Right.
then it's not. Therefore, yeah,
Right.
it may be low code, but it's still too much of a hurdle for the end users to build a powerful business form solution.
Yeah.
So yeah, the camel builder certainly helps you to actually compose that camel without actually having to write it manually.
Yep. Yep.
And it makes sense. It's just like filtering a standard SharePoint list.
Hmm.
So yeah, great features.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely.
There are some other things about the layout of the form. So right now you can create sections within your form and have 1, 2, or 3 columns going across. And in each of those columns, you could add tabs, for example, or put obviously different fields in different columns. But now there are more options there. So you can have, like, similar to SharePoint, we're on a page where you can have like a narrow column and a wider column. So that gives you just some more flexibility in laying out your options, or you can have even more columns. I'm pretty sure there's a 4-column option now. So that really helps you be able to yeah, create separate sections. Another kind of trick that isn't necessarily obvious, but I've mentioned to or has come up with a couple customers is that those whole sections can be controlled as far as whether they're visible or not, or to whom, or like in what cases, and so on. So you could have a whole sort of create an accordion effect with a form using those sections, or have them colored in different ways. There's lots of options there.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's I, I guess an easy way to describe that everybody probably would have experienced is when you're filling out a shipping form of some sort, and you've got your billing address, and then you've got the shipping address, and of course
Mm,
you've got that check mark to say, is the billing address different
mm,
to the shipping address, and then it might actually render that other section
hmm
based on
hmm
that
Yeah, right.
criteria.
Yeah,
So yeah, a scenario like
good
that
example.
is really useful to show or hide that.
Mm,
You don't always want those controls there.
right. And sometimes there might be controls that you would want to repeat. In other words, you want them in one of the sections, but also in another section that's only visible in certain cases. So now you can copy controls too. So if you have a control, meaning it could be a field or even a set of tabs, those are all or a section, those are all controls in Lightning Forms, and you can now make copies of those and then paste them into another part of the form. So maybe you've got a section that you've done a lot of styling to or formatting in a certain way, and you just want to do that again in another part of
Hmm.
the form, then you can use the copy paste to do that, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that leads on to seamlessly to something else as well, and that's when you're exporting or importing the form design. So as well as being able to copy within the form, we maintain a different design, well, not different design experience, but a different design configuration for the new form, the edit form, and the display form. Which a lot of people, when they first see that, think, oh, do I have to do everything 3 times? So no, you don't. But what you will find is quite often your logic is going to be different on each of those forms, which is why we've done it. So yeah, sometimes you may want a different or slightly different layout, but usually the layout's going to be the same. But what is going to be different is, like I say, that logic. So for example, you're not going to have an approve button on the command bar on the new form because you've not actually created that item yet. So that would be on the display form, maybe, or the edit form, or maybe actually just the edit form. So what you can do is design the new form as you want it. And what before this feature was introduced, you'd end up having to maybe export that design and then import it into the edit form and think, okay, what logic do I need to get rid of? Or you don't add the logic until after you've exported that form design, and then you add the logic that you want on the new form and the edit form separately. Now you can design it, and you can then just decide to import certain types of design changes. So maybe it is the layout and the styling that you're importing, but not the logic and so on as well, which is fantastic. Again, saves you a tremendous amount of time. So.
Yeah, when you go to import, you now get a little dialog pops up that you can have that has checkboxes for the different aspects of that configuration that you want to import. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, definitely. And so I also believe there's a bit of work being done on sublists.
Yeah, so that's been a very common request, is to be able to have, if you have a sublist which might have list items, as we've talked about, or purchase order items, and maybe in SharePoint you have some JSON formatting that you've set up, or what other type of formatting in SharePoint, and you would like that to also show up on your Lightning Forms sublist. Now you can with the new feature that's coming this month.
Fantastic.
Yeah, same with views too. There are some that aren't going to be quite yet supported, which we'll call out in our documentation. But for the most part, though, you'd be able to, for example, if your sub list is actually a library, you'll be able to show library tiles now. So that's a different type of view, or just any of the formatting that you set with, like the colored pills, that type of thing for your choice columns, and highlighted certain columns and things like that can all show up now in your sublist. It's been a very common request.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that and to demonstrate that. So.
Yeah, cool.
Great.
And one other one that I wanted to mention has to do with Document Generator, and this is also another common request, is that we're adding support for having clickable URL links in your Document Generator. So if if one of your fields that that you have in your form is a URL, then now you can add that to your document template. You could before, but it wasn't a clickable link, but now you can have it clickable.
Yeah, I know you've seen that request quite a bit through technical support. So
yeah, just this morning, in fact, again.
Yeah.
And I said, I know it's coming.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. Wonderful. And was there any other features that you
I think those are the main ones. Yeah, I think those are the main ones. There are some other little minor ones, or did you have any others?
No, I think you've done it justice there. So yeah, good. Well, we'll be delivering a webinar which will be demonstrating all of these features. That is on the 15th of this month.
I was thinking 17th.
17th of this month. Thursday, 17th of this month.
Thursday.
Yeah, so we'll be looking at all 3 products. So we're starting off with the Lightning Forms, covering the document generator, and also looking at the list actions, and we'll have a focus on the brand new features as well. So if you want to see that in action, sign up for the webinar. You can do that by going to lightningtools.com, clicking onto webinars, and you'll see the webinar right at the very top, so you can register for that. So yeah, it'd be great to get you on board.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Sandy. It's great to chat with you, and look forward to seeing you again next time.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye for now.